Welcome to H.E.R, Hormones, Empowerment, and Restoration, where we empower women to reset their hormones, reclaim their health, and restore their joy. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Michelle Nonnel, a Reiki Master Teacher, intuitive wellness coach, and founder of Soul Esteem, a holistic brand devoted to helping women reconnect to their vitality through energy healing, nervous system regulation, and regenerative wellness. Michelle's work beautifully bridges science and soul, combining modern health strategies with ancient wisdom. Through Reiki, intuitive coaching, and integrative tools using light and water codes, she helps women release stress, restore balance, and truly come home to themselves. Her passion for this work was born from her own healing journey, moving through burnout, trauma, and hormonal imbalance and into deep nervous system harmony and self trust. Today, we're diving into a powerful connection between the nervous system, energy healing, and women's wellness, and how healing isn't about doing more, but about remembering who we are beneath the burnout. Michelle, welcome to the show. I'm so thrilled to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to start right away with your story. So tell us what led you to the world of energy healing and intuitive wellness.
It was something that my own personal healing story inspired me and connected me with. I, as a child, went through a lot of childhood trauma at an early age. And so I grew up only knowing survival mode, and going into my 20s and 30s, really started experiencing burnout. And but not having a name for it or understanding why. There was a lot of negative self-talk. Why am I not like everyone else where I can go, go, go? Why do I procrastinate? Why am I so sensitive? And I really had this moment about 8 years ago where I just felt so disconnected, not just from my body, but my goals, my purpose, the person I wanted to be. There was just this huge disconnect. And I was in traditional therapy, but I felt I needed something more that would help me from home when I'm not at the therapist session, because everything's great in therapy and like soon after therapy, but struggling in between those days. And a friend recommended Reiki. And that was the first time I felt seen, and not just seen as my person, but the trauma I experienced. I think there was a lot of not naming it and not sharing it. And so the other thing Reiki gave me was feeling safe in my body again. And those things just really opened up for me to not just integrate into my own healing, but then wanting to help others in their journey.
Love it. Love it. And I love how you said, everything was fine in therapy. And that's so true, right? I mean, it's like you're there, you're talking about it, and you're like, all right. And then you get home and life starts lifing at you, right? And it starts
Yeah.
lifing really hard. And so to be able to have those skills to have at home where you can understand, okay, this is my trigger and this is what's happening and this is what's starting me down this path and this is the tool I need to get myself back. I think that's so great that you understood that and that you started looking for a alternative there or more tools. I guess should say
Yes.
for you to come home. So you mentioned that your work was born from your healing journey. Was there a specific turning point for you? Can you share what that looked like?
Yes. So I do feel that my healing journey is like a very fluid, and we go through different stages of life just as we go through these different stages of our healing journey. I will say the biggest turning point was when I realized that I couldn't control my healing and that I really needed to surrender into it. And with that realization, there are two things that really opened up for me that really um, helped. And that is one of which is Reiki came into my life as a way to give me permission to slow down. I was caretaking, mothering, going, doing all the things, and I still felt that I wasn't in my body. I wasn't listening to my soul. It was I'm just having to go and do all these things and take care of other people. So really being able to surrender into listening to my body and hearing myself. And what I realized was the really root of that was my self-love,
Mhm.
my like self-worth. And so realizing that I'm expecting people to treat me the way I'm not treating myself was a huge turning point. And from that, setting boundaries,
Love it.
being able to say no, being able to rest. I think that even that notion was really like for me
R
is like it's okay to rest. Um, and another thing that was a big turning point, and this is more recent, I would say in the last 18 months, I've gotten to just this other level, and that's about feeling safe in my body and not trying to heal from survival mode and from fight or flight, but really allowing myself those moments of rest. And what does it feel like to be safe in my body? And if we're not safe in the body, that's when a lot of things like that dysregulation can really start leading to more serious things like chronic stress, chronic fatigue, and illness.
Yeah, yeah. There was so much in there that you said that I was like, "Yes, absolutely." I love how you said, it was f finding those boundaries and figuring out that it's okay to stop, right? I was actually talking to a client yesterday, and I was like, we are always rushing, right? We're rushing, rushing, rushing. And yesterday, I actually heard this song. It's just like this old country song. And it's like, um, I'm always hurrying to get somewhere, rushing, rushing and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's so true. And the thing is, a lot of times we do that to ourselves, right? We project, well, this
Mhm.
person is what is going to want this from me, and this person is going to want that from me. And when you do start setting those boundaries and you realize that they were just doing it because you were offering it, but they were completely fine when you put a boundary up and said, "No, I really need to rest today." Then they're like, "Oh, okay." But our projection on them is, "Oh my gosh, I'm disappointing them." When in reality, they're fine with it. You know, they were just used to you doing certain things. So, I love that. I love that you finally found that setting those boundaries and it's so important. And then feeling safe in our bodies. Yeah, absolutely. When we realize and have grace with ourselves and realize that this is what's going on and it's okay that I'm feeling this way. Um, and it's okay that I'm, again, resting and getting that
Yeah.
healing that I need. Amazing. Amazing.
Yes,
Um,
there's so many of us who are people pleasers by
yeah,
nature or by environment. And I really think when we start setting those boundaries, there is this fear people are going to leave, they're going to go away, they're going to be like, no, and we're upsetting them, like you said. But then that's how we find our people, the people
exactly.
who we're getting that reciprocal energy exchange with. And
Exactly.
so it really does liberate you in
Yeah.
so many ways when you start setting those boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, and it liberates you, but it also frees you up to really step into what you're supposed to be doing, right? And to all of a
Right.
sudden, it just opens this whole new window of, oh, if I set this boundary here, then that actually allows me to do this over here, and that's what I love to do, and that's where my heart is, and so yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. The name Soul Esteem is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful name. So, what inspired that name and what does that mean to you?
I just like the deepest embodiment of what self esteem is, which is discovering and knowing our worth and at a soul level. And what that means to me is that when we're coming from our place of uniqueness and our innateness and our wholeness and our self worth, that is where the magic can happen. And for me, one of my first parts of my healing journey was to work on my self esteem. I really had none. And so this just reminded me that I'm not just what other people see, but I'm this unique um, set of cells that are here at this exact time. Like there's so much magic in us being here. And so it's just that reminder when I was trying to heal my self esteem that I'm not just this body, I'm also the soul in here that's very special.
Yeah, 100%. And you have worth and you have value, and you were made for a purpose, and finding that is very powerful. I love that. I love that name. You often talk about the link between the nervous system and healing. So can you explain how emotional regulation and physical wellness are connected?
Yes. I believe that the nervous system is that bridge between our emotional and our physical health. And that is because so many of us don't realize, but we are in a state of fight or flight. We are in a state of survival mode, of being on high alert of what's going to happen next, some anxiety, some depression, and a lot of this is because of stored energy from past trauma, past illness, past stressors in life, challenges, adversity. And when I say trauma, that can mean something as really, really big grief journey or childhood trauma or an illness or an accident. I mean, trauma is all encompassing. But what that is it's a soul hit to the body. It's just where a lot of like grief comes in, a lot of like pressure and emotional or physical pain. And so when we're living in this state of either not addressing the trauma or addressing the root of the stress, um, our nervous system is dysregulated. And when that happens, our body is focused on keeping us on heightened alert, so that we can survive. This is like the biology of us from thousands of years that are still living
Right.
inside us. And so when our body is trying to keep us alive in this heightened state, we are now taking energy away to our hormone health, to our passion and purpose and our goals, to manifesting. We're not in a present moment. We're either looking behind us or worrying about the future. And so we do this energy work or this inner work, so that we can let our body feel safe enough to rest, to
Love it.
restore. So our body is meant to heal itself. And when we're able to just regulate that nervous system, then we can get our emotions balanced, we can get our physical health where it needs to be, so that our hormone health, our metabolism, our energy is at its highest potential.
Love it. Love it. And I love how you explained how trauma isn't just like you were a victim of something necessarily, right? It
Right.
wasn't like what you
Mhm.
see on TV where it's like, "Oh my gosh, that was so traumatic for those people." Trauma
No.
is whatever causes you that emotional distress and what you hold on to. And 100%, when when our body's in that fight or flight, it's not worried about anything else other than survival. And so it's not going to worry about whether or not our hormones are regulated or our emotions are regulated. It's just worried about survival and what do we need to do to survive that. So I love how you explained, that trauma can be all sorts of things. And it's important that we acknowledge that, right? It's important that we acknowledge that that wasn't normal, right? That wasn't normal for us. And and what am I feeling right now when I'm going through that? And how do I bring myself back? And I love that. I love that explanation. What do you think are some simple, accessible practices that you recommend to your clients for bringing nervous systems back into just calm and safety?
Um, I there's so many, and that's what's so great is that when we connecting with nature first and foremost, when the more we can connect with nature, whether that be like opening your windows so that the sunlight comes in when it's meant to, and the moon light comes in, and not relying so much on our overhead synthetic lighting.
Right.
Um, but anytime we can connect to nature, going outside and just 5 minutes of sunshine.
Hmm.
And even if it's winter and you're in the Midwest, for example, and you're not in Miami, still going outside and breathing in that fresh air.
Yeah.
If it's really bad weather, even just opening your window for 5 minutes to just let that air in. When you're able to, stepping outside barefoot. These are ways we can connect to nature that really help our circadian rhythm, which is going to help our sleep
Yeah.
regulation and our hormone health, as well as feeling those rest cycles that we're meant to feel. One of my other favorite tools is water. Hydration is a frequency, it's one of the highest frequencies, and so many of us are dehydrated.
Yeah.
Um, and it's it's one of those things that I love to have my clients work with is water, but also being intentional with the water and like taking that moment to just breathe before you drink the water and just realizing this is life. Like water is life, it's memory, and it's a really powerful tool. And then of course the breath. The breath is always accessible to us. And deep belly breathing is really helpful. If we could just do 5 of that, whether you're going in before a big meeting, you've had a really rough day, like taking care of young children, just taking those 5 breaths for yourself. Always important to have your exhale be longer than the inhale,
Yeah.
and do whatever count feels normal to you or helpful to you. I just like to start with 5. Um, Also, gratitude. When we're in a state of gratitude, it's really hard to be in a state of anxiety or worry. And just taking a moment to be grateful for the things you can find to be grateful for, like the roof over your head, um, resources like this podcast that can help you sustain during difficult moments. Technology that allows us to have this conversation now, just the sunlight, finding little things to be grateful for also really helps the body relax. And then touch. If you have a pet or a child you can hug on, a partner you can hug on, but if not, even just giving yourself a hug, even just putting hands where you're feeling the tension. And what I like to tell a lot of clients as well is a lot think, okay, I don't hold on to trauma because I had this ideal childhood, but that is not what trauma is. Like you could witness something. We all went through a collective trauma after 9/11, for example.
Yeah.
Um, but Reiki is not this, it's just a modality, it's just a tool like yoga. And it's accessible. It's like we're all actually born with the ability to have Reiki activated. When you take a course, it's really just to have the different methods that are unique to you. But Reiki is something we all use intuitively as it is. When we have a headache, we're doing this. And if
Right.
we have a stomach ache, we're rubbing on our stomach. If a child falls down their knee, we're rubbing their knee. We're giving them a kiss. Like that is Reiki. Reiki is taking that time to gentle touch. And what that is, it's moving the energy to where it's needed. And so using gentle touch when if you can have a few moments to just breathe, listen to the body. Where's their tension? Where's their heaviness? And just putting touch there. And then dominant hand over heart and the other hand over your belly. This is also to help you restore energy because this is connecting you to your heart and connecting you to your solar plexus. And just breathing in here, and you have energy reserved here. Like there's a
Right.
reservoir of energy, just taking that moment to tap
Hmm.
into it. All of these can be done in less than a minute, and they're all free. So they're all accessible.
I was gonna say you mentioned I think all of my favorite things, but yeah, the biggest thing is it's free, right? I mean, and I
Yep.
love free. I love free. But yeah, I mean, water, you're 100% correct. Everybody's dehydrated, and they don't think they are. They're like, you know, I drink. I drink stuff all the
I,
time. And it's just like, but are you
yes.
drinking water? So yeah, water and getting outside. I can't tell you how many times even like with my kids when they're just like dragging mid-afternoon, I'm like, go outside for 5 minutes. Just give yourself 5 minutes outside and breathe in that sunshine or starting your
And I
day
love
with
that you
sunshine.
say that because
Yeah.
I love to do these with my kids too.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so, it's so important because they're simple tools like that. and that just set them up for success as they're aging and all of a
Yes,
sudden,
and then, like, the energy in the home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so sometimes that is one of the biggest causes of stressors right now is just there's so much, like, personalities and
Yeah.
energies and, like, to-do lists, and it's happy chaos, but it's still a little bit of chaos for the body and for the mind. And so just when we start doing this work, it does ripple off to the people around you,
Oh,
your
yeah.
kids, your coworkers, and so that's helpful in itself, but I like to say all of this because it's unique to people. We're all
Mhm.
bio individuals. And so some people are really going to resonate with the breath, and some people are going to be really resistant with the breath. And so just naming all these ways to restore calm and safety, that's the goal. And finding your way um, is is the best way to go.
Right, right, because there is no wrong way, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like whatever works for you is supposed to be for you, and
Mhm.
it's not bad that it's different from somebody else. It's just that's
Right.
you, and that I think too is something that oftentimes we don't even celebrate, right? We just think, well, if I'm not like somebody and if I don't respond like somebody, then I must be doing it wrong. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome that works for you. This is what works for me. Isn't it great that
Yes.
we are, and celebrating that even those little tiny differences like that are huge. And instead, we often feel shame for having that difference. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I love that you brought that
That is
up
a
that,
great reframe. Yeah, I
yeah,
love that reframe because I was one of those people, and it's still a work in progress. I have to catch myself, but their awareness is there now to catch myself. But it's like, what's wrong with me
right.
that I can't sit and meditate for 20 minutes?
Right. Right.
And
But I
it's
can go
just
for a
that's
walk for
what
20
I have to
minutes
do.
and I can be thankful and
Mhm.
I can be grateful and I can be sitting there thinking of while I'm walking about how lovely it is.
Yep.
And for some reason that doesn't hold the same, and it's like, well, I'm not meditating. Well, aren't you? Aren't you out there meditating on how great things are? And so, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, so
Yeah,
important.
so one of my favorite 20-minute medicines, I call it my medicine, is reading.
Yeah.
That that regulates my nervous system. That brings me calm and peace. And for some people, it might be baking, it might be going on a run, it might even just be taking a really hot shower. And so the meditation comes in from just being able to be with yourself, be in some stillness, in some silence, some solitude. And that's the meditation.
Right, right, and it's fantastic. And then, of course, you brought in gratitude, which I think is my favorite thing in the whole world,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you can't be gracious or you can't have gratitude and anxiety at the same time. It's just physically impossible to have those 2 together at the same time. And,
Yes.
um, you know, if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're like, "What is going on?" If you can turn your mind to what you're grateful for, studies have shown how fast you can go back to sleep just by changing that thought pattern from that negativity of, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this," to, "Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this bed that I'm sleeping on right now." I mean, and just scientifically proven how gratitude works. And again, one of the most simple, easiest things to do in so many ways, and yet so hard for people to stop and actually go, "Oh, yeah, I am grateful for this. I am grateful for this life.
Yes.
This is amazing. This is amazing."
One of the things that helped me, because I am someone who is an anxious individual, when I wake up in the middle of the night, is I have said, "I'm so grateful I have time to figure this out." Because even if
Yeah.
it's something that's pressing for the next day, I still have those few hours to rest and sleep
Right.
because nothing's gonna happen at 4 AM. Nothing's
Right.
gonna get solved, nothing's due at 4 AM. So
Right.
even just telling myself, "I'm grateful for I have time to figure this out," even if that time's only 6 or 7 hours,
Right.
I still need to sleep to be on my
Right.
best, figure out whatever is causing me worry. And
Yeah.
oftentimes, it's not something that's 6 hours away, due at 8 AM or 9 AM, right? It's
Right.
just something that's weighing on us. Um, and I think those are always a sign that our nervous system's in dysregulation is
Yeah.
when we're in that constant state of waking up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. How does energy healing or even something as gentle as Reiki support hormone balance and stress recovery?
Well, it brings the body into parasympathetic rest, first and foremost. And that's when hormones like cortisol, estrogen, progesterone are able to rebalance, is when they're in that parasympathetic state. Energy healing, and energy healing can be Reiki, it can be yoga, it could be acupuncture. Um, Tai Chi, there's so many modalities. And that's another thing for someone to be able to explore is what modality works best for them. But those types of modalities help release trapped emotional energy. And trapped emotional energy affects our endocrine function. But that's also where our chronic stress comes in from. And
Right.
chronic stress destabilizes all our hormone health.
Right.
But I do like to, on like a very basic level, when we talk about energy healing and our hormone health and our physical health, is to think of our energy flowing through our body, through energy systems, the way our blood goes through our vessels, and that's supporting life, where our energy is flowing through energy centers in the body. And when that gets stagnant or stuck or trapped, and it's especially when it happens um, over time, um, where does that energy go? It's staying in your body.
Right.
And when we are holding on to that, it's just that's chronic fatigue, stress, that's inflammation in the body, that's being sick all the time, like our immune system, our hormones, all of that is not in balance. And so just having an awareness of what am I carrying? And there are so many ways to release that through like a Reiki session, like a yoga practice or a stretch practice. It doesn't have to be yoga. You don't have to go join a studio. Um, you can Google, there's apps and things on YouTube, or just
YouTube.
even gentle morning stretches or evening stretches. But um, just having that awareness. And so that will help support hormone function, your all your body systems, really.
Right. Right. Love it. Love it. Yeah. There's something about, just stretching after work because, I'm sitting all day, right? I'm sitting,
Mhm.
just sitting. And even if I get up during the day, I try and get up hourly or whatever, but I'm sitting so much. And when I at night can like stretch out and just release, my hip flexors and release my back and all of those things just by gentle stretching, it's amazing how well I sleep, right? Because I'm just all of those things are just so like inside of me. So yeah, just simple stretching at night before I go to sleep just puts me in a whole nother level of rest. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned light and water and cellular
Yeah.
regeneration in your work. Can you explain how
Yeah.
hydration and light exposure affect our energy and wellness on a deeper level?
Yes. Light and water are information carriers, and they are memory holders. And what that means is like just simple, my water here, it's holding the memory and the intention of what we're talking about right now. Um, and so this water is just empowered by being in this conversation. And that's why I say, like, we should start being more intentional with the water. Um, and so I like to add intention to my water every day, at least with my like first cup of the day. That's part of my morning ritual, and I'll add a molecular hydrogen tablet. It just dissolves, and then that really supports regenerative health. And I it carries so much information in our bodies too. Our bodies are 80% water, and so we really need that much water coming in as well. And so I think sometimes people think 64 ounces is enough. It's just if you can always have water by your side and just always drinking it. And I don't even like to put a goal to it,
Right.
because I think that takes you out of the intention of it. It's
Right.
just always have water by you, always fill it up when it gets empty, and just start there, start adding an intention. But so if we get proper hydration and natural light, it helps reset our circadian rhythm to align with nature's circadian rhythm. Nature goes through seasons. Right now it's 7:09 and it's dark outside. Like, and I wouldn't know that if I didn't have my blinds open. I am someone who keeps my blinds open. Um, and so that's one way to help. There are like lamps and things like that now that's
Mhm.
really cool to help
Mhm.
support that. But being in flow, being in connection with nature's rhythms really helps our circadian rhythm. It really
Yeah.
helps our mitochondrial function, which is really, really important when it comes to like stress and our purpose. And we talk about words about like manifesting. That's just our goals, right?
Right.
Whatever our goals are, when we feel like we're so out of reach and we're like stuck, that's our mitochondrial function too. It's not just like our mindset or our am I being productive today or not?
Right.
Um, and so hydration and light is frequency work. We are dealing with nature's frequency. We're dealing with our highest frequency. If we're putting our body, exposing it to natural light, if we're exposing our body to water, those are just these ways that we've been so disconnected from. But think of what our ancestors were like.
Right. Yeah.
Right? There's always like a ritual with light, a ritual with water. It was part of their daily life. And so the vitality in our ancestors are completely different than with us. Like they didn't have these stressors with technology and industrialization and this go 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 pace. So when we can connect ourselves back to that, it's really helpful foundation.
Right.
Really, really helpful.
Right. I love how you said that, we have to, resetting our circadian rhythm because so many people don't understand, you know, when I ask them what their bedtime routine is, well, I'm on my phone until, I'm on my phone and then death scrolling and then I turn my light out and I don't know why I can't sleep. And it's like, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about like real light and blue light, and even that simple change of just getting off of your phone, an hour before you go to bed. If you're feeling crazy, do 2 hours or 3 hours. But yeah, just resetting and going with your natural light is so, so important. And we do get away from that because of modern technology. So a little bit off topic, but this popped into my brain. You were talking about how water has memory. Have you ever seen those studies about like teardrops and the
Mhm.
studies that they've done from tears where they can tell if it was a tear from grief or they can tell if it was from anger or from laughter? Have you seen that? And how, it's like this, and it goes with water, right? And with water, the water studies and the hydration that comes off of your body, but that they can actually tell what kind of tears you have by
By the
by
frequency.
by the frequency. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that
Mhm.
crazy?
And that is so crazy, and it's also crazy to think all the water that's on this earth has always been on this earth.
Yeah.
That this water and water is so sacred. It's such a connection to your lineage.
Yeah.
And um just having that piece, I love to bring in the ancestors as part of this work too, because that's the resiliency. You are strong, you are resilient, it's in your genes.
Yeah.
So yeah, water is one of my favorite things to work with. I offer water Reiki. I offer water Reiki retreats. I offer molecular hydrogen tablets as well as water bottles because I believe that we start with water. I think, like you said, when we have clients that come to us and we're starting to like formulate their plan, so to speak, of what are the small changes we're going to start with, and we work them up. We always start with hydration,
Right.
and I think it's so funny because I always start with screens too. It's like, get the TV out of the bedroom.
Yeah.
Really, truly, get the TV
Yeah.
out of the bedroom.
Put your phone away.
Start. Yeah, so we work our way up to that. That's not the first session, but
No, because
it
that's
is like
hard.
you're on your phone until 10:30 at night. Can we try to be on our phone until 10:15? And the last 15 minutes, can we please just start to like think about reading, breathing, journaling, gratitude, just something else. So those two things are and when we talk about hormone health, it's also interconnected. These things
Yeah.
that it's been part of our daily life, we don't realize are affecting our health. And right now, this is like our longevity.
Yeah.
This really is the difference in like longevity here.
Yeah. Yeah. And our way of living, what is how do we want to live? Do we want to live in
Mhm.
that stress? Do we want to live in that tension or not? You know? And a lot of times it is just some simple changes to begin with that put you on such a path of healing. So love that.
Yeah.
So many women, especially, right, feel so completely depleted. We just
Right.
because and it is because, I was listening to a podcast, and this doctor was saying, not taking away from any other group out there, but it's women who, a lot of times are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, right? We've got kids, we've got parents, we've got financial stress, we've got household stress, we've got all of the things going on. So we are emotionally, physically, spiritually just tired. We're just tired.
Yeah.
So, what is one of the first steps that you suggest? And we talked about water, but for women who are ready to begin their healing journey?
Yes. Start small. Don't try and overhaul your life in one day or 1 week or 1 month, even. Start really small with changes. And I like to add first, not take away.
Right.
So when we're talking about the TV, no, we start with adding. The first steps I really like, aside from the water, is rest. Really starting to become diligent with time for rest. And that's unique to you. Does that mean I'm trying to find time for a 20-minute power nap, um, a walk to myself, reading a book, breathing, or just being in stillness, just being
Right.
in quiet solitude, laying down and just tapping out. But trying to find some intentional time to rest. And again, starting with 5 minutes of just
Hmm.
let me incorporate rest, whatever that looks like to me, where my body can just
Right.
sigh. And then the breath. Starting with taking like a morning 3 deep breaths. And then you work your way up to your evening breath and your afternoon breath, but just taking time to breathe, to sit with yourself and breathe. Um, and these two things will start creating safety in the body. Just these two implementations. And from there, that safety builds into trust in the body, trust in our intuition, trust in the boundaries we need to set. And then from there, our energy starts flowing again. And so
Right.
these little tweaks will start helping. Um, that that feeling of fatigue, that feeling of like wired but tired. And another thing to remember when we're starting here is that you are not broken. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. I like to call this a remembering.
Right.
You're remembering
Love
who
that.
you are, and you're remembering these tools are already in you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about progress over perfection, right? Because we all decide that, okay, and I love how you start small, because it's like, okay, well, I have to take 20 minutes. Well, what if I don't have 20 minutes? What if I have 5? Take 5, right? It's
Yes.
progress over perfection. We're building up, and there is no wrong way to do this. This is just the way that we're starting. And so we're getting there, and we're building that foundation of this is where I want to be, but I'm starting here, and that's awesome because I'm taking action. And that's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. What are some of your favorite, and we talked about this a little bit, daily
Yeah.
rituals of grounding tools? So, that help you stay centered in your own energy.
So we talked about the gratitude practice. I think
Hmm.
that's key. And we talked about water. I also think that's key. And I also like to journal, um, just like 2 lines in the morning of whatever I feel called to. Sometimes it's what I'm calling in, sometimes it's a belief I need to really sit with longer, like something I'm trying to reprogram. And so just writing that out. Um, Also, I really like to do a body scan, a mini body scan at night before bed, where I'm just laying down and I'm just kind of being intentional of what does my body feel like? Is there any place that needs a little love? Like a little um, gentle touch. And I think those are part of my daily practices in the morning and what works for me. And again, there are some people who like to incorporate stretch or a walk. Um, Sometimes connection, sending a text message or a phone call to somebody like really helps ground them. It really just depends on you, but favorite daily rituals: sunlight, water, affirmations, gratitude, and ending my evening with a body scan and gratitude as well.
I
And
love that.
visualizations for the day or the next day.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And keeping it simple, but so powerful, right? All of those together, so powerful. Um, how can women begin to rebuild trust in their bodies after years of disconnect and burnout?
Start listening to their body. Their body's giving cues. And for whatever reason, it could be the trauma, it could be the busyness of life. Um, we're we're not listening or hearing. So our body's communicating to us through sensations in the body. And these sensations are not criticism or something we need to be worried about. It's just something we want to listen to. So when we're tired, for example, and we keep trying to push through, if we're overwhelmed and we keep saying yes to an invitation, even though we're overwhelmed and we know rest would be best, things like that. When we have a headache, um, or like a stomach ache, or we're feeling stressed, or we like even the feelings, there are
Right.
messengers from the body. And so just taking time to start listening to them, being aware, and this is where journaling comes in because you can start seeing a pattern.
Right.
Um, and so when we just start listening to the body and then thanking the body for the message, we start rebuilding that trust.
Love it. Love it. Let's talk about journaling just for a second. Because, we mentioned, well, we journal here, we do some gratitude journaling, we do some other things. And I was talking to a client the other day and she was like, I just don't have time to journal. I don't have time. Right. And I realized sometimes the thought about what journaling is, it's like these preconceived ideas, right? So, well, if I'm going to journal, I'm going to sit down, I have to have my coffee, I have to have the whole thing set up, right? I've got to have the atmosphere, and then I'm going to write my heart out for half hour, 45 minutes. And that's not necessarily true. I love how you said that, sometimes I just write a sentence or two. And I was like, sometimes it is just that sentence. It's that, what is the evidence that's coming to me right now? And I'm going to write that out. And I don't care if it's on a sticky note, that I take the sticky note and I later put in my journal. I wrote it out. I saw it. I paid attention to the thought that was in my mind right then. And I understood the importance of it. And so I'm writing that out right then, because if I can see it, then I can believe it and I can start dealing with whatever that thought is at that point, right? Or even if it's on the gratitude side, I'm always telling people, start with 3 to 10 things in the morning that you're grateful for, and they're like, "Oh, there's no way I could do that." Write it out during the day. What happened during the day that you were so grateful for? I hit every green light on the way to work. Oh my gosh. When you get to work, I hit every green light on the way to work. That's amazing, right? And it's those little things, and it's not making it hard. We have in our minds that everything that, if it's journaling, it has to be hard, it has to be serious. If it's drinking your water, like you said, the
Mhm.
rule is 64 ounces. Well, what if it's just we keep filling up our water bottle when it's empty? And we just stay
Mhm.
hydrated and we keep it with us like that. So when you journal, how is it that you look at journaling? I guess I'll ask.
I look at journaling as soul work. We just spoke about how our body is communicating with us, and we want to listen to those messages with those cues and sensations and feelings we're experiencing. Our journaling is our soul talking to us. It's our mind. It's that inner voice communicating with us. And when we're writing it down, that's showing we're listening.
Right.
And so it's really, really important. And yes, don't put a timer to it. Sometimes you might want to sign up for a challenge where those limitations. But that's not what it is when it's just you and your paper and your pen. And what comes up, comes up. I would just free flow it. For me, there are days where I'm writing 2 pages and I'm just letting it all out. And there are days where I'm just writing a sentence. Sometimes I like to pull a clarity card and I'll just write my feeling on the card. There are some days where I'm trying to manifest something. So I go in there and I write what I'm trying to manifest 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and then 9 times in the evening. It's called the 369 method. So there's sometimes I do that. There's sometimes I just actually on Monday, I just wrote like 8 words. 8 words came to me. And I was like, oh, this is a message for something. I want to look back on things. I want to be able to connect with my thoughts um and this is how I do it. And I will say, whenever there's a resistance to something, there's a reason why, and getting to the root of it. Journaling is probably the tool the most that I see in my practice that gets the most resistance and pushback. Of,
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. I'm not going to do that. I don't know if it's something with our education system that they just like pushed writing down on us, and that's where the resistance is. There are times where I've said, then leave yourself a voice note.
Right.
I'd rather you leave yourself a voice note of this than type it out on your notes, but it's also the point of just starting to do. So even if there is that resistance and that pushback, again, we start small. So can you just write down a word that you're feeling? Or can we leave yourself a voice note of something longer? But this really is your way, your soul's way of communicating. And these are the things when someone is trying to become unstuck, to release chaos, that inner chaos and that fatigue, and really call in a big goal. These are the things that are part of the process.
Right.
And so if there's a resistance there, I would like to know what the resistance is. And oftentimes it's going to come back down to the soul esteem.
Right.
You really don't feel like you're worthy to get this goal.
Right.
And you're trying to like a little bit stop yourself along the way. So things of that nature. And it also could be if you went to a school that was just like, write this down. And,
What's
there
your
could
handwriting
be
look like? Yeah.
think, think like feelings about that. But like, I would ask, what's the resistance here? Why am I resistant to this? Is it about time? Because you're saying this is important. It's important enough that you have like gone into a coach client relationship with me, which is a big time and financial investment. And so
Right.
taking 2 minutes. So I always like to explore what that resistance is. But it is part of the process of listening to yourself, listening to your soul. And so I I'm not somebody who likes to put restrictions on things or times on things. So for me, it's about, can you just put a word? Can we commit to a word and
Love
start there?
it. Love it. Keeping it simple. Love that. Um, I love how you talk about healing not being broken, right? Not about fixing what's broken, but remembering who you are. So, can you expand on that just a second?
Yes, oftentimes we think something's wrong with us. And we do the comparison thing and we are looking for something. We're looking for the missing piece that's going to fix us. And that's not the case. Like the reframe here is, this is who I am. How can I connect to her so that I can do these things?
Yeah.
And what happens is we get on this trauma loop, this cycle of
Hmm.
like just taking classes and hiring coaches and just going around and around thinking like we're missing something. Like
Right.
something hasn't resonated, where it's just about doing the deeper work with yourself and trusting yourself and loving yourself. So starting with these affirmations that I am loved and
Yeah.
I accept me just the way I am really starts helping break up that cycle of what's wrong with me? I'm broken, because we're already whole. Now there might be a part of our past that was broken in us and that we're trying to repair that, but it's not us. It's an event that happened to us. And just having like being able to distance that we are not our trauma, we're not
Yeah.
our past, and we are not the things that happened to us. Like
Exactly.
we did not deserve those things, and we are
Right.
still worthy and deserving of the things we want. And so when we come from this place of like, I'm broken, we're still coming from a place of not fully loving and trusting ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's so powerful. So powerful. Because, that whole statement of I am not my trauma is so true, right? I am
Mhm.
not what happened to me. That is not who I am. I am wonderfully and beautifully made, and I am standing in that and believing in that, and that's so powerful, so powerful. What role do you believe self-compassion and slowing down play in overall lasting healing?
Well, I believe self compassion is the medicine. We hold so much compassion for our family, our friends, our children, and we oftentimes are not holding that same compassion for ourselves. We tend to be our worst critics,
Yeah,
and our inner voice becomes our own oppressor.
yeah,
And so self compassion is the freedom to start really believing in yourself, believing in your worth, and being able to push out of this resistance and this overwhelm and really start going into this like exhale, the whole body exhale. And that's where the healing happens because that's the safety. If we were holding compassion for ourselves, our own selves, that means we feel safe in our body. And so that is where the healing happens, is in that safety, not in the speed of things. And so self-compassion is really key. And it's common advice, right?
yeah.
To treat yourself the way you treat your own best friend.
Right, 100%. Having that grace and understanding that again, you're worthy of that grace, that you have that, that self-worth. So I love that. For someone who is listening right now, who's feeling overwhelmed and stuck, what is one thing she can do today to start shifting her energy and reconnecting with herself?
Take a moment to pause. Just pause, put your hand over your heart, your other hand on your belly, and just take 3 big exhales. And remember that you don't have to fix everything. Um, you just like you're putting that aside, your to-do list, the things that you feel that you need to get to, you're putting that aside and just coming home to your breath for the moment. And just feel that in. And then you can come back to that any part of the day as
Love it.
well.
Love it.
And that's where our power is just being in the body.
Yeah, I love that. Michelle, this has been so incredible and so beautiful and deeply grounding conversation. I just really, really appreciate it. Before we wrap up, can you share how listeners can connect with you and learn more about your work and maybe a little bit about what the Sacred Reset sessions, say that 3 times fast, you have that you offer?
Yes, the Sacred Reset is my signature offering. It combines Reiki with intuitive coaching with the hydrogen water tablets. So it's full nervous system regulation as well as coaching and integration with the Reiki and breath work. And so I noticed in my Reiki sessions, um, the integration part's not there. What happens after the Reiki session, right? And so with this, it has like support with the water tablets for 30 days, but also a follow up integration call. And I have Reiki sessions, clarity card sessions, as well as courses. Um, Very small 7-day nervous system reset, all the way to an offering that's launching during Scorpio season. That's the energy of rebirth and transformation and magic. And so I also am a Scorpio. And so I timed it, divine timing. Um, and so this course is about, actually it's called manifesting. It's unbound, the art of manifesting from freedom. And what that means is that we're trying to reach these goals, we're trying to get into our purpose, but we cannot if we're still living in the trauma that kept us like bound,
Right.
right? And so we're still coming from survival mode and trying to bring these goals to fruition. So this is if someone's trying to rebirth um, any type of project, goal, dream, We go through step by step over 8 weeks of naming the oppressor, naming the trauma, releasing it, finding the integration tools to like move forward, and then getting to that stage of being the embodied manifester. And so I have courses from like a 7-day reset all the way to this 8-week mastermind. And I'm at Michelle Nonnel. Nonnel is Lennon spelled backwards. My mom was a Beatles fanatic. So my first name, Michelle, is after the Beatles song. And my middle name, Nonnel, is Lennon spelled
Oh,
backwards.
that's
Um,
hilarious.
so I'm at michellennonnel.com as well as Instagram at Michelle Nonnel.
I love that.
And I offer 20-minute wellness chats to just find the right spot for you, or even just as a place to land at if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Love that. Love that. Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your heart and your wisdom.
Thank
I
you so much for
love the
having me.
gentle reminders of the healing doesn't have to be complicated. It's all about creating safety within and remembering who you
Yeah.
are already. I love that. Love that. So
Yes.
thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
To all of you listening, I hope this conversation encourages you to slow down, breathe deeper, and truly come home to yourself. You are not broken. You are beautifully designed to heal when you create the space and the support your body needs. If you'd like to connect with Michelle or experience her work, you can visit her website at www.michellennonnel.com or find her on Instagram at Michelle Nonnel. Be sure to check out the Sacred Reset session she mentioned. It's such a beautiful way to begin your own restoration journey. And before we close today, I want to invite you to join me for the next 21-day detox starting November 14th. This is a guided whole body reset that helps you release toxins, reduce inflammation, and restore your energy naturally. You'll receive a complete handbook, shopping guide, recipes, and daily support to help you feel renewed before the holidays. If your body has been asking for a fresh start, this is your sign. You can grab your spot and learn more through the link in the show notes. And as always, thank you for turning into the H.E.R podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please take a moment to share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us reach more women who are ready to reclaim their health and restore their joy. Until next time, remember you are wonderfully and beautifully made.